Welcome to Sunday Stream hosted by Vibe Unit. If this is your first time hearing about Vibe Unit, let me tell you about us. We are a live stream. We broadcast out to local musicians and we try to facilitate a community of growth and achieve what would be some sort of networking to help out local musicians, get to the next step or whatever that might be. One way we accomplish this is we do this Sunday stream here. At the moment, we are actually in a shift. We're going to get into that a little bit later in terms of like change of content. But real quick, I want to thank our sponsors. We have some patrons and some folks who have donated on the through our other means, the Cash App, or have just handed us cash directly. They're going to be popping up on that screen. We just want to say we're extremely thankful to you. And really, really helps us to make sure that this can keep running and we can keep serving the community that we are living in and help bring musicians and artists an opportunity to take their creativity to the next level. If you enjoy what you hear today or what you see happens, you feel free to donate. We do have a Cash App and a Patreon. And if you are interested in seeing what's going on and local events and that kind of thing, tune in here. That's kind of a little hint as to where the content's shifting. And also, we'll keep you updated here as to other events that we're going to be offering. It's going to be more than just this stream going forward. We're going to try to include more things, more opportunities. So let's see. If you want, you could email us once we get into more details about the sort of things we're going to start offering. Feel free to email us. Our email is media@vibeunit.com. And we're just going to talk about that today. So I'm sitting here with John. My name's Mike. I don't think I've ever introduced myself in an intro before. Have I?
Maybe once in the early days. I feel like we were a little bit more judicious about that because, it's just kind of broadcasting into the ether. We didn't know who was watching or listening, and they may not know who we are. So it seemed the right thing to do at the time. So I guess, as Mike said, I'm John. This is Mike. So hi.
Hi.
Pleased to meet you. If this is your first time joining us, we really appreciate it, and we're glad you're here. One of the things that Mike mentioned in the intro was kind of where we're moving as far as a content shift, and I think we're all really excited about where that's headed. So
Definitely.
I guess without wasting any more time, we can kind of jump into that a little bit.
Well, I think before we get into where we're headed, maybe we should just kind of, if you're a new viewer and this is your first time checking this out, explain where we've come from. That might help understand the direction we're taking things.
Sure. So I guess the short version of the story is we started originally kind of on the tail end of the coronavirus pandemic, trying to figure out ways to, because venues weren't really open at the time for live shows, and a lot of us in the area kind of, the opportunity you have to do networking or play out, meet other people, spend time working on your stuff. It's a little harder to do when there's not a venue or a meeting point around any of that. So we originally were just doing it with ourselves and had set up some minimal equipment or whatever, really just to record our jam sessions so we could go back later and say, oh, what was that? What was the thing? The thing that you played, 2 weeks ago. You remember it,
yeah,
right?
We wanted a place to go look at that later with our jams.
Yeah, so it started with that, and being somewhat lazy, I guess, we just started streaming because that was the easiest way to do the recording too.
That's
and then
true.
Kind of everything was built around that. The more people that we talked to that found out what we were doing, they wanted to be involved or come through and play music with us. So we just started inviting friends over, and things kind of took off from there. We did that for, like a year and a half, roughly.
About a year and 3 months before we moved in here.
Yeah, so we did that basically in my basement. I had some extra room down there, and we just kind of cleaned it out and set it up to do kind of a jam space down there. And that went through a bunch of different iterations. Like I said, a good year and a half of that. We met a lot of cool people, heard a lot of good music. And then May, June time frame of 2022, we had the opportunity to take possession or whatever of this space and turn it into something. So we went ahead and did that. One of the concerns we had for a while going into this is that directing everybody into a residential neighborhood and having tons of cars parked out front and making a bunch of noise, it was all great, and we never had any trouble with any of that, but it's a little bit harder to be inclusive and kind of cast a wide net and just say, hey, the door's open for everybody. So yeah, when the opportunity arose, we took it, and we have this space now at 311 Colfax in Benton Harbor, Michigan. We're really proud of what we've got here and what we've been able to do, along with the support
blood, sweat, and tears
of all of you. So this is now, we don't really have a count on how many sessions we've had in here, but we've been broadcasting in this space since, I want to say, like mid-June is when we started in here. So that's gone very, very well. I was actually looking through our photo gallery, just kind of photos we've taken of sessions, various iterations of working down here, renovation.
On the website?
These were not photos that were on the website. Mm-hmm. These are just photos that I try to keep organized and collected in case we need them for something. So some of them are like kind of action-y shots during sessions. I just saw something cool and took a picture, or Ashley did the same thing, and I ended up with them, and I just try to catalog them all.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, even down here.
Collection.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Someday we will release them all. There's actually some really funny shots in there too, where it's like they kind of bring you back to like, I remember what we were doing that day. That was kind of funny. But there's probably 5 or honestly 6 iterations of arrangement and just various stuff we've even done since we've been down here. So we're really flexible and trying different things, and whatever works. So it's still a work in progress and a little bit of a moving target, but we're having a lot of fun down here. So
yeah, so I guess like from my perspective as far as where we've come from, I'd say, just to mimic what John said, all this stuff about wanting a way to jam, we also, those who know us personally knows that we really did enjoy the worship music section, like portion of the area where we were able to participate in worship bands, and we always had this sense of we wish we could perform music after, like what's everyone doing after this? Let's go play some more music somewhere, but there's nowhere to play it because they're gonna shut the doors of the church or whatever, and you can't play there now. And also, there's only a small slice of music that would be allowed, I guess, culturally in a church, which excludes more of the heavier styles of music, unless it's a more progressive church that is cool with whatever. We just realized that we wanted to have a spot where we could invite our friends to continue the music and to keep playing, because that's the thing that we really enjoy. And you look around town, and we've had a little bit of examples in the area of venues or not venues, but places you could go and participate in a jam or hang out or just get to know musicians. Some of you may remember the Hidden Point Hall. John and I participated in that when that was a big deal around here, and we loved that idea of getting together with random people and jamming. You're
referring to important. I think they were Thursday night like open jam kind of sessions down there. It's funny actually that you mentioned where kind of we came from in terms of like our past or how we got into this in a way. That was why I missed a lot of those, because rehearsal for the church thing was Thursday night.
Yep.
So, but a lot of people I knew went over there, and I made a couple of them. That was always a good thing.
Yeah,
and I know it's
friends we still have to this day.
100%,
we met there.
100%. Yeah, people. Yeah, exactly. People that I met at that time and still am in contact with. Some of which I still play music with, even. So, really, really cool opportunity. And then we had found. This is a little bit off topic, but not really. I had just been driving in South Bend last week and had noticed a place that had a big sign on the door, community jam, open whatever time to whatever time, all skill levels welcome. And
wasn't
it just
that
felt
the place that just kind of encapsulated a vibe that we were trying to achieve in a way?
It just felt very like open and inviting, and like it felt like it didn't really matter what you were trying to do. Like you could show up there with a guitar or something and everybody would be happy to see you.
That's cool.
And of course I've never been there or anything, so I'm I'm not speaking
The idea
about this from
was
experience, but
the idea for that place was sort of the same as what we are trying to achieve, which is a place to meet up and maybe push your levels further, or just having people to just
or maybe you're not trying to do anything other than just be in
be
a place
around
with
it.
people that
Yeah,
enjoy what you enjoy. You know, there's
exactly.
something to that too. So, overall, I think everything that we're trying to do here involves community building. You know, at the end of the day, like the perception may be like, oh, that you have you're a recording studio, right? Or you're this or that. It's like, really, this is just a room that we've configured to do the things that people have told us they want to do, and
Yeah.
that we've had a good time helping with. So
Yeah, we're a meetup spot, if anything, a place where people can get to know one another in a artist context or a musical context.
so that being said, kind of leads us into discussion about, I guess, where we're headed from here, and maybe a little bit of the why.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe what's driving some of that decision making. So, if you want to talk about it, or I can.
Yeah, I'll at least introduce some of the things. So, because community is our biggest focus and local art is our focus primarily, we wanted to be able to include as many people as possible. And one problem we kept running into is, how do you convince someone who doesn't like to be on camera or be live streamed that they should come on a camera and be on a live stream, and not only that, but perform at a level that doesn't embarrass them, or maybe not just embarrassment, but also causes it to be harder for everyone else involved. And that was something we've heard feedback on a lot. There was no place for a person who wanted to just make music and not feel the pressure. So we started thinking about it, and we thought, what if we offered another night? A night or another day where, instead of cameras rolling, we do basically what we do here anyway, but the aim is more so towards those folks that are interested in being around musicians, but they want the privacy to explore without feeling performative. So we are thinking we're going to offer, or we are actually going to offer a once a month event to start. We'll see how things go. But the once a month event is going to be second Saturday of every month. And I don't know if we completely agreed on time or had a set time yet.
We haven't actually nailed down the time yet, which, look, in fairness too, I mean, this is a somewhat a conversation too, right? All of you are part of the community to which we refer. So, input on that is very welcome. But the idea stands regardless of what time of day it ends up being.
It will
so.
be the second Saturday.
Yep.
And there's a couple reasons why we chose that day, just to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. The first reason is we also want to attend more open mic nights and those sort of things. One open mic night that we have been discussing on here a lot is the Liveries open mic night. And we figured the same type of folks that would go to an open mic night are the same type of folks that have art to share and also may be looking for other artists to share it with. So that happens the first Sunday of the month. And so we thought, if you meet someone there, how great would it be to offer another opportunity to hang out with musicians the following Saturday? And then, on top of that, it becomes an event where artists or creative people from the area or whatever will start to recognize that that's happening. We can kind of direct a lot of traffic there, and we're hoping that yields the results of more connections, more network, more opportunities that could, get people stoked up. Maybe that will lead to someone doing the open mic night next month, and then the cycle continues.
A number of local groups that are currently out and playing gigs right now kind of came together that exact way, like playing together at events like that.
That's
so
cool. And
there's always opportunities. I mean, obviously nobody knows exactly what will happen, but
and we
putting
want
yourself in a spot to allow for that possibility, increases the chances, of course. So
We want to offer um, more, I guess you could say, opportunity. And if this whole entire Saturday, we're going to call it for now, we might change the name later, but we're just calling it the community night. If it turns out to be something that we can't, or that it seems like it has higher demand and we want to include more people, we'll then possibly add another day and whatever. But
yeah, growth will be driven by need. So
Yep.
if you want to create a need, you'll create the growth. We're open to supporting all of that, but
so
we
that
don't
was
want to bite off too much.
that was
so.
the first idea we had.
Yep.
And then that led to another thing that we wanted to do. So you may, I don't know if we mentioned it on stream here. I know we've had a lot of conversations about this, but that solving the problem of what to do with those folks who don't want to be on camera doesn't necessarily solve the problem for those folks who do. If we were to do the Saturday night, what do we do with, like, what if, is the Sunday stream still a thing? Is that still going to happen the way it has been for the last year? Well, we talked about another aspect of making music that we find to be very valuable to us is the curated, more, I'd say, showcase of musicianship that is less jam session and more, hey, I have a song I wrote. In fact, I got a set I wrote, and I need a place to perform it. Coming off the heels of the 2020 stuff, we had this in mind where we would provide a venue where there wasn't any. Thankfully, venues are now opening up
Right.
again, and there's more opportunity, but we still believe in the vision of doing, some of you folks out there might recognize what the Tiny Desk IP, or like, Audio Tree out of Chicago.
There's a number of examples, I guess, of what I would say is the attention to the presentation aspect, should I say.
Yeah.
You'll find that, like you said, with a Tiny Desk, Audio Tree, KEXP, stuff
Yep.
like that, which we don't have any aspirations of being those things, but they're interesting examples of how do you take a thing that's going on somewhere and present that in such a way that the person watching or listening feels some sort of attachment to that event. And that's in a way just as interesting a problem to solve as figuring out, well, what is a good song structure, or why does this chord work here?
Yeah.
That's very interesting to me for almost the same sorts of reasons. So
Yeah.
that maybe gives some insight.
So we do enjoy, like, the more traditional approach with the presentation of the music and the art, and being able to couple that with a video and working with local artists. We want to be able to offer, on Sundays, as potentially right now it's going to be Sundays and it will be live streamed, but your band, if you have a band out there, we wanted to offer you the ability to email us, let us know who you are, your band, and we'd like to be able to film or live stream your set and be able to broadcast that. And then in turn, that would become a YouTube video for you and your band to share around with venues in the area. Maybe just have it as like a piece of time that you could always go back to and remember the event. We wanted to offer that in addition to all the other things that we have offered, like the Sunday stream where we would meet up. But what we also realized is we don't know enough bands that could fill 4 Sundays of the month, because we still want to continue a weekly touch up, or a weekly touch point with our audience and our community. So we had to think of, well, what are some other things we could do? And we haven't really completely settled on what it looks like for the other weeks that won't be filled up. But we can say definitively that what has been the jam session for the Sunday stream is going to now be allocated to an off-the-air hangout on second Saturday of the month, and we're going to treat Sunday as more of a more curated content that we're still working on deciding what that is. And these changes aren't going to take effect immediately. We're still going to host, I think, some musicians here and there.
I'm imagining it's going to take us a good month or maybe 2 to get to a point where we're ready to kind of, I guess, fully switch to the new format, which, as Mike said, is going to be a little bit of everything, I think. We're still going to do, I think, just to give you some sort of idea what we're thinking of. Mike mentioned that one of the things we're trying to accomplish with this is just have a regular point of contact, if nothing, for a number of reasons. One, because I think connection's good for community, but also it's a opportunity to disseminate information as well. And we're maybe in a uniquely postured position for having knowledge about events going on, connecting people to other people who maybe are aligned towards the same goals and trying to put something together. So all of those things, in a way, they're all just potential things that could be interesting to folks. So then it comes down to, well, how do you present that? And that's the part that we're really working through, because we want to be consistent, we want to be concise, and we want to be accurate. You know, we want to be giving you something that's useful. So some of the things we've talked about is digging into various sort of conceptual stuff. You know, we can have kind of a higher level discussion about things. We could bring in various people to interview. There's just all sorts of different things we'd like to try. So I guess what we're looking at now is kind of, I guess we'll just call it a little bit of a sandbox for us to kind of explore what can we really pull out of the woodwork, as it were.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way I'll just say I'm trying to create what I would want if I wasn't creating it.
Right.
So all these different things that we've talked about, they're all going to kind of find their way into creating what would be, I'll just say, the Sunday show.
Yeah.
And the way we're looking at that right now is the show or whatever for Sunday is going to be either some sort of more curated content that we've taken some time to prepare and have ready for you. Everything from news about events and things going on around here to, like I said, gear or theoretical discussion, interview type stuff. There's so many interesting people and places and things around here that I think really it'd be fun to pull the curtain back on. So we have some of those things in mind, and honestly, I really wish I could tell you more, because I have more depth to a lot of these.
We'd get
higher
lost in
level
the weeds a
concepts,
little, but
the point is we have a lot prepared and a lot planned, and moving into the execution phase is kind of where we're at now.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see more of this sort of thing. We'll still do some jams. There will be. This is not the end of broadcasted jams. Like, I'm sure there will be some Sundays where
certainly be
we'll
more.
want to do that sort of thing, but
it just won't be every Sunday.
it'll just require a little bit more planning, just so we're actually sure what we're doing, so we're not just wasting everyone's time and just kind of winging it, I guess.
We feel, at least from our perspective, and also if you're out there and you have some insight on this, let us know. But we feel as though the thing that our community relies on the most, the value they find in us live streaming the jams, is more so it's comforting to know we're doing it. So we wanted to make sure the consistency is there, that there's still something coming out. We realized that the importance is just to know that we're here. And I think that alone, even if we're not being reached out to or being communicated with, we've heard enough feedback in person that people really are inspired by the fact that we're just doing something.
Sure.
And it's just like that might be enough for the bedroom musician to just like pick up that guitar and learn a new chord.
Sure.
And that alone, those are things happening that we don't even see or hear about until much later. But we want to continually inspire. That's the goal, is to inspire the pursuit of the arts, and whatever that might be. So this shift in content is to serve that. It's to serve the local artists who need or I guess benefit from this sort of thing.
I'm sure we're still going to do some documenting of that. You know what I mean? I mean, there's still going to be photos taken and, some things like that. So we'll still keep you up to date on what's going on, including what's happening with Second Saturday and every other thing. We'll make sure we're clear about that. But yeah, the goal was to just remove the broadcast pressure and try to make sure that when we are broadcasting something, we're broadcasting something that is, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Expected is the wrong word, but like
something more planned for, scripted.
The word's escaping me.
Yeah. But the point is, it's not gonna. When we're broadcasting something, we want to have some thought behind it, not just turn on the cameras and whatever happens goes. And that can manifest in many different ways. We've already discussed some of those things, but it could mean a band is playing that day. It could mean John and I are here talking about an album we enjoy. It could mean that we invited a guest on who has a particular skill set in arts-related things that we're just asking questions to. It could even be other things that are not music-related. Like it could just be interviewing local people that have been here for a while, and maybe there's some adjacent musical stuff or artistry stuff that's included in that. It's gonna look different on Sundays, week to week, but it will have been planned out.
Exactly. We wanna have a plan. When we are doing a certain sort of thing for Sunday, we want to have that planned. And the other thing too is understand we have, we're talking about 4 to 5 days out of a month plus an additional 6th potentially with Second Saturday, right?
Yep.
So that leaves a lot of time that this space is not being used. And understand too that if you have an idea for a thing that we could do or that should be happening, I mean, run that by us. We have the resources and the space to do it. It's just like I mentioned before, it's all driven by what is actually in demand and where can we help the most. So
what that might look like, just to piggyback off of what John just said, some folks have come on the live stream because they're working out song ideas. We want to encourage our community to hit us up on a day we're not actually live streaming or broadcasting, and we'd like to open this space up to working out your ideas. We still want to be able to do that.
We really enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
But there's also a point to that where you say, well, unless the goal is to be like prepared to, say, present this at like the open mic, for example, or something like that. Really, what's the point of 12 people learning your song if none of them are going to play with you?
Right. So we want it to have a goal,
fun.
too.
I mean, it could be something you jam over when you have a bunch of people around, but we have had really good success. In fact, we've done this as a Sunday broadcast multiple times. I mean, a lot of Nick's stuff is really a good example of that, like kind of just done the song workshop sort of format. But, he's coming with something that's already 75% of the way there, right? So we're not... Maybe I'm just partial to it because he writes really good stuff and it's kind of easy for me to follow at least, so it doesn't feel like there's any friction there. But maybe that isn't very interesting to our viewers. I don't know. But I'm open to all that kind of stuff too, on camera or off. I do very much enjoy that. But I think having a goal in mind and being able to communicate that to the other people in the community you might want to do it with is probably going to get you far. Because not everybody's into the same thing, right? Like, not everybody's end goal is I want to be on a stage. So, if that's what you're looking to do, probably communicate that. And the goal really is to try to facilitate whatever is needed to like Mike said at the very beginning, kind of whatever that next level thing is. It might just be learning another chord in your bedroom.
Yeah.
And it also might be going to the open mic for the first time and playing a song that you wrote that no one's ever heard before. I mean, it's all valid.
Is there anything else that we should touch on? Because I feel like we did a thorough job up to this point. Is there anything I'm missing or we're missing? I
kind of already mentioned, like I said, we're very open to input on this, and the goal is to serve. So if there is various things in terms of information that maybe is hard to come by that it'd be nice if somebody was coming up with, or any sort of thing, or it could be maybe an event you think should be going on. It's like, let's talk about that. We're open to ideas. The same goes for like artwork, for example. We had a conversation yesterday. I guess you can't see it because we're one camera today, but we did a little bit of rearranging and organizing down here yesterday and had to figure out where to rehang some artwork and some different stuff. And it's like looking around going, it's kind of like a dentist office or something in here, isn't it? Because it's
very
like
sterile. We've said this before.
Yeah. So
Still
we're
haven't
also
solved it.
interested in like a certain stylistics part of this too. Like, what can we do here to make this feel a certain way too? So my point is,
Suggest it.
it's
Do
all like some creative soup, where it's like, feel free to add your ingredient, like I'm sure it'll make the soup
if you
taste
have
better.
art and you'd like us to put it on the wall, please let us do that for you. It would be awesome. It'd be an honor. We love to display art, especially if you're local. Come on. It'd be sweet.
Let's
There's a
see it.
lot of local artists around here. I know there is. I've seen it.
And then, like Mike mentioned, if you yourself have, I think what we're shooting for, I'm just going to be transparent about it because I think
Go
we're
for
pretty
it.
clear on this,
Yeah.
right? So, in respect to the kind of curated presentation thing, I think what we're shooting for right now is like a half-hour set.
Yep, exactly.
So if you've got a half-hour worth of original material, I don't care if it's you and an instrument. It could be you a cappella.
Yeah, that's fine too.
But if you've got a set of material and you're ready to do it, you need to send us an email, media@vibeunit.com, because we would very much like to help you show off what you're trying to do.
And I know I'm not going to say who these people are, but we have received emails from a few folks that you are that person that has emailed us and said, I want to do a set with you guys. We'll try to do our best to follow up with you and just say the opportunity exists now if you don't see this. So there's a few people that come to mind for that.
And if you're out there and you're like, well, I'm just not sure like what thing I'm supposed to get involved with or whatever, second Saturday. That's the thing we can just definitively say. If you're someone who has been maybe interested in the Sunday session thing and you're like, well, I don't know about the Sundays thing, forget all that. Come see us on second Saturday, and we will put up time for that. But that's going to really retool into being the come one, come all, the doors open from this time to this time. And for that, we're going to get rid of the whole you got to email us thing. We're just going to be here.
Yep,
So
no emails are necessary for the second Saturday.
The reason we mentioned the email address and the contact is really more about, if you're a local musician looking to just get plugged in from a networking standpoint, maybe you're looking for session work, maybe you're just looking to, maybe you're looking for a group to potentially play with. Or maybe you're just kind of community oriented and you're thinking, well, maybe I just want to be around and maybe help contribute or do whatever. Go ahead and get a hold of us. But no invitation needed second Saturday.
Yep.
And we will have the information for that going up on the website and across all our social media platforms as soon as we get a time nailed down.
And by the way, that does start February 11th.
Yep.
That day
That'll
we will be
first
doing
one.
it.
So February will be our first month